Welcome to TV Africa News. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. Work at stake as Kyambogo University land title goes missing. Government to recruit more teachers ahead of reopening of all education institutions. Mauritius oil spill, captain claims he drifted ashore in search for internet. And in sports, Uganda Hippos trains ahead of Cameroon game in AFCON Under-20 tournament. And now the news in detail. An unspecified number of public servants from the newly created regional cities have not been paid their January salary, according to sources that had not received the third quarter of funds which had affected their salary payments. Our reporter Nahabwe has more on this story.
Local Government Permanent Secretary Benjamin Kumumanya told journalists that they had administrative issues as they transitioned from municipalities to cities, which deployed salary payment of all civil servants in the newly created cities. Effective July last year, government created regional cities of Jinja, Mbali, Lira, Hulu, Arua, Hoima, Fort Portal, Mbarara, Masaka and Soroti. Mr. Philbert Baguma, the Uganda National Teachers Union Secretary, yesterday said he had received complaints from some of the cities but had not established what the cause could have been. Nahawe Kajura, Africa Today.
Moving on, the land title of Kyambogo University has mysteriously disappeared from the registry of Kampala Capital City Authority, putting more than 400 acres of the university land in jeopardy. This comes as Kampala District Land Board is claiming ownership of part of the university land dubbed Kyambogo Linkland. We have more.
The Vice-Chancellor for Kyambogo University, Professor Eli Katunguka, said that after realizing that KDLB was claiming part of the university land, they sent their lawyers to place a caveat of the property, but the land title was missing from the KCCA registry. Meanwhile, KDLB hired 2 tractors, which demolished the fence that the university had erected on the site and started demarcating and grading the land without the knowledge of the university management. The chairperson of KDLB, Mr. David Balondemo, said the land does not belong to Kyambogo University but belongs to them and they want to use it for other activities. He also said Kyambogo University had the wrong title and KDLB is going to process a fresh title for the land. According to information from KDLB, this particular land was degazetted from the catchment area of the Chinawataka stretch in 2017 after the National Environment Management Authority asked Cabinet to degazette it. The information indicates that the land was left without ownership and was consequently repossessed by government, and since the Constitution allows KDLB to take over the land without ownership, they took it over. Nahawe Kajura, Africa Today.
Away from that, the Ministry of Education and Sports, through Educational Service Commission, is going to recruit over 3,096 teachers at secondary level. This was revealed by Dr. Sam Luwonga, the chairperson for Education Service Commission at Uganda Media Center. Let's take a look.
Speaking to journalists at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala, the chairman for Education Service Commission, Dr. Samuel Luboga, said they received a submission from the Ministry of Education to recruit over 396 teachers across the country in categories of operational seed secondary schools, non-operational seed secondary schools, and expanded government schools.
Recruitment of secondary school teachers in seed schools. Education Service Commission received a submission from the Ministry of Education and Sport to recruit the teachers in the following categories. 1. K-2 operational seed secondary schools. This category of seed schools has been operational since 2019. And have sitting teachers who will be given priority. Interviews will be held at the respective schools from the 22nd February to the 13th March 2021.
the ministry would deploy staff under normal deployment following the completion of the recruitment exercise. Interviews will be conducted in April 2021. Since the introduction of seed schools in 2010, government has recruited over 9,612 staffs in 356 seed schools. Nahawi Kajura, Africa Today.
Moving on, the Ugandan government, through its Foreign Affairs Minister, Sam Kutesa, has asked the European Union Parliament to respect the country's sovereignty and ensure non-interference if relations between the two are to be sustained. Our reporter Nalugo has more.
The EU Parliament last week adopted 19 resolutions taking the stock of human rights violations in Uganda in the period before, during and after the recent elections. In the resolutions was a call for justice for Ugandans who died in the November 2020 riots and a call for sanctions against individuals and organizations responsible for human rights violations in Uganda. In a 10-page letter dated February 15th, Mr. Kutesa wrote to the President of the European Union indicating that the body was undermining Ugandan institutions and the sovereignty of the country. Mr. Kutesa responded to all allegations at the time, indicating that Uganda and EU relations are historical and strong, but their sustenance will depend on the ability to uphold the universally accepted principles of mutual respect, non-interference and sovereignty. Kutesa stated that the EU resolution was undermining Ugandan institutions like the courts of law and the Electoral Commission, highlighting that he was particularly perturbed by the resolution that refers the process and the results declared by the Electoral Commission. Mr. Kutesa said the government recognizes the critical role played by them in the advancement of democracy and a better society. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Let's take a very quick short break. We will be right back. Still in our international news today, more details are emerging over the Mauritius oil spill as the probe into the incident continues. The captain of the boat at the center of inquiry, Captain Sunil Kumar Nandshaw, told the inquiry committee that he steered the vessel near the shore to look for internet connection. Let's have more.
The captain said he used to sail 15 nautical miles off Mauritius, but this time round he came closer to 5 nautical miles. Some crew members told the inquiry commission that the captain had given them permission to have a birthday party, and most of them got drunk during the July 2020 incident. Thousands of locals had worked for days to try and reduce the damage and contain the oil spill, and France sent a naval ship, military aircraft and advisors from the nearby island of Reunion. The oil spill has been described by environmental experts as a disaster for nature which will have wide-reaching and long-lasting repercussions. The company had initially pledged to support local fishermen affected by the spill in Mauritius. The government had also demanded $34 million compensation from the devastations caused.
A former top Central African Republic football official and a militiaman nicknamed Rambo pleaded not guilty to war crimes charges as their trial began on Tuesday at the International Criminal Court. Let's have more.
Ex-Sports Minister Patrice Edward Ngaisona was allegedly a senior leader of mainly Christian anti-Balaka militias as the country slid into civil war in 2013, while Alfred Yekatom, an MP, is accused of commanding them on the ground. The anti-Balaka, which means anti-machete, formed as vigilant self-defense groups after mainly Muslim rebels called Seleka stormed the capital and removed then-President Francois Bozize, a Christian. Yekatom, a 46-year-old, gave a similar response, saying he categorically rejects all the charges laid against him. The trial comes against a backdrop of continuing unrest in the Central African Republic, with rebels waging an offensive against the government of the current president Faustin Archange Touadera. The two men face charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including murder, torture, mutilation, persecution, and the conscription of child soldiers from 2013 to 2014.
Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. In our business news today, Ugandans raised concerns about the tax proposal that government through Ministry of Finance had hatched on the new proposed taxes on withdrawing money from banks. There was excessive views condemning government's proposal on grounds that the same taxpayers are being overexploited. Our reporter Kachanchu has more on this story.
The views were in response to a government proposal which came to light through a February 9 letter signed by Mr. Patrick Okailap, the Deputy Secretary to the Treasury in Ministry of Finance, highlighting government's intention to introduce tax on cash withdrawals made across different banking channels, such as over-the-counter, agency banking, and automated teller machines. The proposal was premised on the need to level the playing field by taxing banks the same way mobile money transactions are taxed. Government is now proposing a 0.5% levy on cash withdrawals at the different bank channels. The proposal, government says, will encourage cashless transactions, promote e-commerce, and improve tax compliance in addition to rising revenue. Introducing a tax on withdrawals means people will be discouraged from making deposits, while those who get paid in the bank might turn to withdrawing all their cash and keep it with them. Kachanchu Mtabazi, TV Africa News.
In our health news today, the World Health Organization has alerted 6 African countries to watch out for potential cases of Ebola after it emerged in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Guinea. Let's take a look.
The Democratic Republic of Congo declared the emergence of Ebola on February 7, while Guinea declared the outbreak on Sunday. Meanwhile, Ebola vaccination campaign kicked out on Monday in areas where the epidemic was first reported. Between 2013 and 2016, more than 11,000 people died in the West Africa Ebola epidemic, which began in Guinea. Ebola infects humans through close contact with infected animals such as chimpanzees and fruit bats. It then spreads between humans by direct contact with infected blood, fluids, and organs. It can also be spread indirectly through contact with contaminated environments.
In our sports news today, the head coach for Uganda Hippos, Molly Biekwaso, believes after winning Mozambique comfortably, they must win also Cameroon in the next game. Coach Biekwaso told journalists after today's training ahead of the game tomorrow.
To play well and have and put a good show. After giving a good show, the better team will win and have nice results. Every team has its potential and nature of play according to the nature of every person. They are small people and big people. So we need to play according to our nature and strength. But with all due respect, Cameroon is a very strong side, is a superpower in Africa. But we shall try as much as possible to see that we diffuse their strength which is to play direct ball.
Now, before we end our news bulletin today, let's take a recap of our top stories. Work at stake as Chambogo University land title goes missing. Government to recruit more teachers ahead of reopening of all education institutions. Mauritius oil spill, captain claims he drifted ashore in search for internet. And in sports, Uganda Hippos trains ahead of Cameroon game in AFCON Under-20 tournament. That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned. More programming coming your way.
This is Africa, and that was the news.